An assignment for the benefit of creditors, referred to as an ABC, can be an effective tool for a buyer to acquire assets of a financially distressed company. However, as with any transaction, there are potential pitfalls that a purchaser should be aware of to minimize risk and to ensure that they get the benefit of their bargain. So what is an ABC? An ABC is a contract between a financially distressed company, referred to as the assignor, and a fiduciary, referred to as the assignee, pursuant to which the assignor transfers all of its rights, title, interest in, and custody and control of its property to the assignee in trust. The assignee is responsible for liquidating those assets and distributing the proceeds to the assignor's creditors, pursuant to the priorities established under applicable law. Unlike a bankruptcy, which is governed by federal law, an ABC is based on state law. ABCs are court-supervised in certain jurisdictions, such as Delaware, New Jersey, and Florida, and are merely statutory in other jurisdictions, such as California. So what are some of the advantages to acquiring assets in an ABC? First, there is the speed. Selling assets in bankruptcy can take months to complete. Conversely, the sale of assets via an ABC can be completed substantially faster because assignments in many states do not require a court process. There are no bid procedures, sale motions, or other pleadings required to be filed in connection with the sale. An ABC sale can occur at the time the ABC is effectuated. For that to happen, negotiations between the purchaser and the assignee commence before the assignment is made, and a transaction is agreed upon and implemented contemporaneously with the assignment agreement being executed. This structure allows the purchaser to acquire the business without disrupting continued business operations. Alternatively, the assignee can operate the assignor's business for a short period of time, allowing the ABC sale to occur within days or weeks of the ABC being effectuated. Second, there is cost. Because of how quickly an ABC sale can be completed and the fact that there are few, if any, procedures that need to be followed, the cost for a company and purchaser to engage in an ABC sale process is substantially less than a sale in bankruptcy. Also, unlike Chapter 11 cases where a creditor's committee is typically appointed, there is no committee in an ABC. While a creditor's committee can play a very important role in a traditional Chapter 11 case, it can also prolong and complicate the process of trying to sell assets, including increasing costs that are absent in an ABC sale. Another advantage is the protection from fraudulent transfer claims. The assignee is an independent third-party fiduciary who is responsible for maximizing value for all creditors. In order to do so, the assignee must determine in the sound exercise of his or her fiduciary duties that the sale to the purchaser constitutes the highest or otherwise best offer for the assets. Additionally, UCC 9-627 provides that the disposition of assets by an assignee in an ABC is a commercially reasonable sale. As such, purchasing assets from an assignee provides an added level of protection for a purchaser from fraudulent transfer claims compared to purchasing those assets directly from the troubled company. Moreover, in states that do provide for court oversight as part of the ABC process, the purchaser can request that the court issue findings that the purchase price constitutes reasonably equivalent value for the assets, similar to what happens in a bankruptcy case where the bankruptcy court enters an order approving the sale. Another advantage to an ABC is that unsecured debt is cleansed through the ABC process. Unlike a bankruptcy sale, a purchaser of assets in ABC will not receive a court order that provides that the sale is free and clear of all liens, claims, encumbrances, and interest. That does not mean, however, that the purchaser will be saddled with the unsecured debts of the assignor. Rather, as with any sale, the purchaser only assumes those liabilities expressly set forth in the asset purchase agreement. Moreover, creditors of the assignor are provided with an opportunity to file a proof of claim with the assignee in order to share in the sale proceeds, providing further protection to the purchaser for liability on account of such claims. So what are some of the disadvantages to acquiring assets in an ABC? First is the fact that ipso facto clauses are enforceable. Ipso facto clauses, which are common in many contracts, provide that a contract will terminate upon the occurrence of an insolvency event. In a bankruptcy proceeding, unless certain exceptions apply, ipso facto clauses are not enforceable. However, in ABC, such provisions are enforceable, thus giving the contract counterparty the ability to simply terminate a contract once the ABC is commenced. From a purchaser's perspective, depending on the significance of this contract, this could result in a depreciation of value or materially impact its decision to proceed with the transaction via an ABC sale. A second disadvantage is that there is no ability to assign executory contracts. Unlike a bankruptcy sale, unexpired leases and executory contracts cannot be assigned to a buyer without consent from the contracting counterparty. Because the contract counterparty must agree to accept the purchaser as the new obligor, the purchaser may lose the potential value of market-favorable contracts if the contract counterparty will not agree to have the contract assigned to the purchaser. Another disadvantage is that there is no ability to sell free and clear of liens and security interest. Unlike a bankruptcy sale, the assignee cannot sell assets free and clear of liens without the consent or full payoff of lien holders. Thus, secured parties must agree to the sale if they are not going to be paid in full with the sale proceeds. Otherwise, the purchaser takes the assets subject to the secured party's existing liens. In conclusion, while there are pitfalls a potential purchaser will want to understand, an ABC provides a fast and cost-effective way to acquire assets from a distressed company while also insulating a purchaser from fraudulent transfer claims and the claims of unsecured creditors.